Hi guys, it's Melissa. In this video, I've got some exciting and important updates about xTool's new UV printer that is coming out. They just released some additional information. Now, you probably remember that back in January, in early January, when I was at CES, I dropped a video that had some basic information about the new UV printer that xTool is going to be putting out soon, very soon. I'm super excited about that. But now we have even more information. So one thing, and I don't really want to call it a correction, but I reported in my original video with the first look at the xTool UV printer that it would be an A3 size. That's actually not correct. They have now released more information to let us know it's going to be even better. It's going to be A3 plus. So what does that mean? Well, technically it means 330 millimeters by 420 millimeters, or about 13 by 16 inches. Okay, so 13 inches by 16 and a half. So like, what does that really mean? That means, think about like a laptop size. That's about the size of what the bed is going to be. Now, what we don't know is, are we going to be limited to that bed size? Okay, so are we going to be limited to the 13 by 16 and a half, or is there going to be somewhat of a pass through? We don't know that yet, but we're hopeful that that may actually be the case. Okay, so the real big news though is not just the X and Y vertical axis, but what's called the Z axis, basically the height. How tall of objects can you put in the new xTool UV printer? Well, until now we didn't know, but what they have told us is that it is going to be at least 150 millimeters. Now, for people like me who don't speak in millimeters, what does that mean? Just under 6 inches. That's great news. Okay, so while you won't be able to put a basketball in there, you could put a softball in there, right? And print directly on that. All kinds of tumblers will be able to go in there. All kinds of drinkware. Anything that, again, like, well, and I'll get more into drinkware and the Rotary in a second, but you could put this in there. This is obviously not 6 inches, but that is going to be the height that it's going to allow us. So perhaps if you wanted to print directly on the top, and for whatever reason you didn't want to, or let's just say you wanted to print on the bottom, right? Because the top I could take off. You could, if this is less than 6 inches, which I think it may be, you could put this whole thing directly in there and have it print. That's awesome. Okay. A lot of UV desktop printers are shallow, or the depth or the Z axis in this case is limited. And so that limits what objects you can actually put in there. You don't need to necessarily disassemble a box or something like that. You could put it directly in there. All right, so you're not going to be limited to phone cases or keychains or things that are mostly flat. You can definitely have 3D objects that you can put in there. Okay, now let's talk about the rotary and cylindrical items. Okay, xTool has confirmed that there will be rotary support for cylindrical objects. So at CES, I showed you that they had some drinkware examples. We weren't really sure if these were items that were put directly in there on a rotary, or if they were done as basically DTF stickers and then applied. We can now say that there will be a rotary available. I am sure it's going to be considered an add-on and won't be come right out of the box with the xTool UV. There's also going to be what xTool is calling batch efficiency. This is going to be a benefit to small business owners, small businesses that don't necessarily have a whole shop, right? You have maybe a room in your house, or a dining room table, as I call some of my home crafters, right? You have a designated spot. I remember when I was growing up, my mom had basically a closet in the basement for her sewing room, right? Now, eventually she moved out of that and had a larger space, but we know there's a lot of people, crafters, who are running small businesses at home in a very limited space. You don't have 1,200 square feet like I do here for all of these printers and different things, right? So this is where it gets really interesting, because at the A3 plus bed size, you can put more than one item on there at a time. So you could batch. So let's say you had 4 or 5 of these. You could line them all up and do them at the same time, which is really going to help you when you are creating bulk orders. All right. So previously you would either have to print UV DTF stickers, print them in bulk, and then apply. But while UV DTF stickers are great, the adhesion is definitely better when you print directly to the object, okay? So what else can you print on? You will be able to print on canvas. You will be able to print on acrylic. You will be able to print, obviously on stainless steel. You will be able to print on wood, all kinds, plastic, all kinds of surfaces, okay? You're not going to have the limitations that you see with other type of printing, whether it's sublimation or even DTF. Now, what we don't know yet, and then I'm going to get into one of the things that I'm really excited about xTool, the company itself, and why this UV printer I think is going to be a big game changer. So what we don't know what we don't know yet, right? What we don't know is the price. So xTool has just generally said it's going to be affordable. That's a relative statement. So what may be affordable to you is not affordable to me, or vice versa, right? So if I'm buying this as a home crafter and I don't get a tax write-off because I'm not running a small business, that can be an affordability factor. Or if I need, if I have a business that has a Rotary, that if I have a business that is mostly focused on tumblers and drinkware, and the Rotary accessory itself is a whole lot of money to add on, that might not be considered affordable. So we need to see what that is. We don't know what it's going to be. The other thing we don't know yet is an exact launch date. I'm going to have a pretty good idea that it's getting closer because xTool is now starting to release more and more information. Q2 of this year is what they had said at CES, but that's a 3-month window, so we'll have to see. We also don't know when pre-orders are going to open. We don't know the print speed. We don't know if there's going to be more than one model. Okay, so these are all things that at this point we don't know. We also don't know the ink type of system. So I have actually 3 UV printers in my office right now. I have a Pro Colored UV that prints direct to object and direct to film. I have the Epson V1070, which can do both as well. Does not have a camera, neither does the Pro Colored. I have the Eufy Make E1, which is actually sitting directly next to me. This is a desktop size. It's very similar as far as size wise as the xTool. It has a camera. We know the price point of that. We know the size of that. We know the ink system of that, but we don't know what the answers to those questions in the xTool UV is going to be. So we don't know the cost of the cartridges, the type of cartridges, the replacement costs, consumable costs, things like that. We don't really know the software, but I'm going to guess, given xTool, and this is kind of what I was referencing a minute ago, is xTool really has done an amazing job of incorporating all of their hardware, the lasers, the DTF printer, apparel printer, even the heat presses into their one software, xTool Creative Space, XCS. And that software is very good. I use all types of software. I have been a longtime Silhouette Studio user. I use Illustrator. I use Affinity. I use Flexi. I've used all of these types of programs, Canva, whatever some of you are going to poo-poo some of those programs, but xTool is right up there with the amount of tools and features that it has. But the flagship feature that xTool has that everyone should be writing home about is the fact that it allows you to easily integrate different workflows for your different xTool devices. So for example, and I have other videos on this, I can cut an acrylic piece, custom acrylic or custom wood on my xTool laser, any of them, and then use that exact same design and just change the device that I'm using in xTool Creative Space, and then print a matching DTF transfer on my apparel printer. And it's sized exactly the same. Literally, the workflow is so easy and simple, and my guess is because of that, xTool is going to make sure that they incorporate the UV printer the same way. So that's going to be a really big advantage when you don't have to constantly save out your files so that they can go into a different program to match what you already have. The fact that it makes it very, very easy, the workflow, huge advantage, okay? And then the other thing that we don't know yet is what the full machine footprint and weight are going to be. We have a pretty good idea, right? I saw it at CES. I don't think the prototype is probably not going to be that much different than what they actually put out as far as like the size and the what it looks like. But we don't have those exact numbers. Okay. All right. So that is the official latest update from xTool. Super exciting. Really good information as far as the size. I love that we know we're going to get about 6 inches of height there. That's really big news. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Just hit the bell below, because I will be continuing, obviously, to put out updates. I have some exciting things coming. Some I can't say right yet. They're kind of exclusive information that I'm being holding tight to the chest, if you will say, at this point. But I have some exciting information coming out about the xTool UV in the coming weeks and months. I obviously will also have tutorials, reviews, different things like that as soon as I am able to do that. But any more additional announcements that they come out with, I will also make sure to share with you guys. So if you are looking for the other information about other UV printers, if you're just not sure what UV printing is, what the benefits are, I'm going to include a whole bunch of links in the description below for you so that you can check those out. I will also link to where you can get on a list to get updates for the xTool UV so that you're among the first to know. You can get on, it's not necessarily a pre-order list, but you can get on the list to make sure that you are made aware of when pre-orders do open. All right, guys, see you soon.